Today, we're going to talk about a new OpenAI Atlas browser and specifically how you can use it to start automating tasks in a way that just wasn't possible before. And you'll see that it does have its limitations and we need to be open about it, but it can also do some not so obvious things really well. So what we're going to do is that we're going to test it on a range of real business tasks and see that together. And here is a quick recap in case you haven't used any AI browsers before, but essentially the core functionality is that anywhere that you are online, you will have access to this sidebar here, and you'll be able to ask questions about this particular tab or other tabs. And essentially, you'll just be able to see what you've done and what you're looking at and have all of this context included, which is a lot more efficient than just opening a new chat in ChatGPT and having to feed it all of that context. So it doesn't interrupt your workflow, and it can also do things for you by taking control of the browser. And that's going to be a lot of what we test today. Okay, so the first test that we're going to do is I'm going to try to have it issue an invoice to a client inside of Stripe. And that's going to be done with the agent mode. Now, obviously what you have is two options. It's going to be logged in or logged out. If you're already logged in, which is the case for this first test, obviously ChatGPT does not need to log in. If you're logged out, it's going to need to log in, and obviously it's going to need to have access to your login. So that's something to keep in mind. If you prefer not to give it access to all of your details, then just stay logged in, and it will not do that. So let's go ahead and I'm going to dictate this prompt, but please go ahead and issue an invoice for marketing services of $100 to my client, Daryl Wilson. Here we go, and let's see how it does. Okay, so as you can see, it's taking control over the browser, and you can see this overlay right here, and you can see everything that it does. So it's going to show you every clicks that it does. It's going to show you its thinking, and that way you can control it and sort of see where it goes. And at any moment, you can stop it, take control, and mitigate any error or any bad things that it could do. Okay, so it selected the client. That's all good for now. And it's adding an item that it didn't change the currency. Okay, now it's going back to change the currency to $2 rather than pounds. And I think what's not working right now is that if you already put down item details, you're not able to change the currency in Stripe. I think that's what it is. So it's still trying to click on this, but it's not working because it already added item, and therefore it needs to cancel that before it can change the currency. So it's struggling a little bit here. All right, so it's really taking a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take control. I'm going to change the currency, and then I'm going to ask it to carry on. But this is taking quite a while. So I'm able to take over, and I'm going to cancel this so that I'm able to change the currency. And I'm going to ask it to move forward from there. So I asked it to carry on and only draft the invoice. I don't want it to actually send it, but I went ahead and changed the currency myself, and hopefully that sort of unstuck the process. Okay, so even then, it's just not getting it. So I'm going to stop the process, and it gets up to the point where it didn't understand that it needed to save this item before it can actually work, and then you can actually review and draft the invoice. So as you can see, it's not very smart. Any human would have done this in about 1 minute. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, and sometimes it's just going to get stuck on random things. Because understand that every time it sees a new page, it's going to have to understand how it works, and if it wasn't trained on that particular platform, obviously it's going to struggle. And something to keep in mind is that when you see demos, when you see those new functionality, those new agents being demoed by OpenAI or other companies, it's being demoed on a website that it has trained on. So obviously, if it's trained on the website, it already knows the interface, it already knows how to do things, and it doesn't get stuck quite as much. But when you throw it into a new website that it wasn't trained on, it has to sort of learn on the go, and it can get stuck pretty easily. So I guess for this first step, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It was still able to create an invoice and fill out some of the details pretty quickly to start with, but it just got stuck and just wasn't able to finish it. Okay, so test number 2, let's try something a bit easier, and let's just try to have it update a record, a task inside of my Notion without me having to do it. So I'm already logged in. Once again, we'll do some of the tasks when I'm logged out, but for now, let's just keep it logged in and do something pretty simple. I'm just going to ask it to update this task that I have today for this YouTube shoot. And I'm just going to ask it to add some notes to it. So please go ahead and find the YouTube shoot task for today and add some notes to it. Just add a reminder for me to fix the lighting. Okay, let's see how it does. That's pretty simple. I really expected to get it right because that's really, really the bare minimum. All right, so I found the task and it started to type something. I can't quite see. Oh, there we go. Okay, and it did that successfully, and it took it 28 seconds to find the task, add a note, and did that pretty well. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Obviously, not a very hard task. Now, of course, that task was visible right off the bat. If I tried to do it for a task that wasn't here, maybe it was in a different page and it had to navigate, I think it would have used the search functionality and find it pretty easily. So again, not a very difficult task, but it did do it. So again, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. And let's move on to something a bit more complex. Okay, so now we're going to do something and I'm going to be logged out. So I'm going to use the agent mode and being logged out. And for this test, I wanted to go ahead and apply for a freelancer job, whichever freelancer job is relevant to me in my Contra account. So Contra is just a marketplace for freelancers and people can go ahead and post jobs. And as a freelancer, you can apply to it. So that's what I wanted to do right now. And to start with, it's going to have to log in. So let's go ahead and type it in. So please go ahead and log in to my Contra account. And I want you to draft a proposal for the latest job that would be relevant to me. Okay, let's see how it does. Okay, so it opened a new tab and went ahead to try to log into Contra. Now, as you can see, it's faced with the login page and it's coming back to me asking me to log in first. And I guess I kind of have to be here to do that. So let's go ahead and log in for it. So we found the jobs tab and it's opened the most recent job, which is not exactly what I asked. Okay, so drafted an application. I drafted something to send to the client. And now it's just telling me that the task is over because I only asked for a draft, so it didn't go ahead and apply. Okay, so overall, I guess it kind of worked. It was pretty fast. It only worked for about a minute, the initial 18 seconds plus minute. So pretty fast overall. I would give this a 7 out of 10 just because I didn't really ask it to just apply to any of the latest job. I asked it to apply to the relevant job, which it didn't really check for. So sometimes what I found is it's a bit lazy to do the task in the best way possible. It just kind of will go through and push through until the end, until the finish line without really trying to do it the best it can. But again, I can't really blame it. My initial prompt wasn't super expensive and it kind of did the job anyway. So 7 out of 10 for this. Let's move on to something a bit more complex. For this next one, I'm just going to be logged in. I think you should too. I think it just takes too much time to log in for you and it's going to have to stop and ask you for it. So just log in and then launch the task. I think for now, that's the best way to do it. But I'm in my CRM. I'm in MailerLite and I wanted to update a record for a client by itself. And so I'm going to go ahead and type it out. Okay, so here's a prompt. Please update the profile for Stan from Storycat and add a tag called follow up soon. So a few things here. This tag does not exist in the system. So I want to see if it's able to create a new tag when it finds that it doesn't exist. And then I want to see if it's able to quickly find this user because I did not give it the email. And I just want to see how good it is at searching those things. So let's go into logged in and launch the action. Okay, so pretty quickly it went to the subscribers tab and now it's doing a search and it's just literally pasted how I called the contact, which is Stan from Storycat. Obviously, if you search this, it's not going to show up. So I want to see how it kind of troubleshoots this. So now it's starting to search for just Stan and obviously it will probably see it in the list. It's showing 5 results. And out of those results is the correct profile. It just found it. Okay, and it's interesting what just happened because it was initially blocked by probably some kind of spam protection that MailerLite has in place. So you had seen the page where it was blocked. And sometimes that's really the problem is that when you have those protections in place, the AI browser is just not able to take any actions, but it was able to just reload the page and it was let through. Sometimes it's just not doing that at all. It's blocked and it just can't proceed. And that's a bit annoying. But in this case, it was able to do so. And proceed to the profile. Now it's trying to add the tag. Okay, and this was a bit of a trick. I don't want to see how it does it, but the notion of tag does not exist in MailerLite. The way that it works is that you create groups, and that's essentially acting as a tag. But obviously, the way that you might describe it is a tag, but it's not necessarily called a tag in MailerLite. I just want to see how, as a machine, as an AI, it's able to troubleshoot this and understand the difference. And it looks like it's doing that right now. So it found the group field and understanding that this is the actual tag field in this case. And it went ahead and I think it added the new group for it. And there we go. So it worked for 3 minutes and it did this correctly. It did create a new group, a new tag, follow up soon, and it added this contact to it. So I would say this is probably a 9 out of 10. It did take a while to walk through everything, but it went past the spam protection. It went past the little trick that I had and the trap that I gave it with the group versus tag, and it did it correctly. So very impressed actually, and I'll give this a pretty good note. And this is something pretty cool that you can try as well. Okay, so here is the next test, and I think that's one that a lot of people could need. So what I wanted to do essentially is to read this Excel, which is an export of traffic for pages on my website, and I wanted to find the next lowest page in terms of traffic, which would be this one right here, the one that I've highlighted here. And I wanted to go ahead in my WordPress site and draft this page. So it's a low performing page. We just want to remove it from the website. We're just going to draft it. And I wanted to be able to find that, read the report, essentially find the page, go into my website, find the article, and draft the article. So I'm going to still be logged in everywhere, but I'm not going to be here. I'm just going to scroll about here in the middle of the report so that it actually has to find the lowest performing article. So please find the next lowest performing page and the one that hasn't been actioned yet, and go ahead and find it in my WordPress. And I want you to turn this article in a draft. Okay, let's try and see how it does. So step one is going to have to find the lowest ranking article, the article with the lowest traffic that has not been actioned yet. So it's not about just scrolling all the way to the bottom. It actually has to understand this spreadsheet. Okay, so it looks like it's taking a while just to try to understand the sheet and its layout and how it's working. And I was searching through my browser memory, through my tabs, and it will see that I have a tab open. That is my website. Okay, and I'm going to stop it here, but essentially what it did is that it managed to find an article that it thought was the lowest performer article and to draft it. So it did it pretty quickly. Fortunately, it just wasn't the right article. So I found this article which has 8 active user compared to 45 views. And as you can see, this ranking, it looks like it's one of the lowest. But obviously the one that I had in mind was the one that we have right here. And that has both low views and low active users. Now, technically, it's not wrong, but it just wasn't the one that I had in mind. I guess it still did what I asked and gone ahead and found the article and drafted it. So, still, I would say 8 out of 10. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but again, if I had been a bit more specific in my prompt, I could have avoided this. In terms of the actual action and doing this and the time that it took, I still need to say that it's probably an 8 out of 10, even though it wasn't what I had in mind. It still did the job pretty well. So that's really something you can implement in your business. If you have this sort of task, which is pretty boring, which is going through a spreadsheet and then from this, taking an action into another website, that's something that it can do pretty well. And if you give it enough context and enough details, it should do a pretty good job. Okay, so overall, as you've seen, there are some things that it can do pretty well, although the things that it can do pretty well would probably not take you too much time, if we're going to be honest. I mean, the few tasks and the few tests that we have done here, and it did a really good job for, were things that would probably have taken you just as long or probably shorter. And then the task that would actually save you time, it didn't do super well and not super accurately. So overall, I would say that it's not quite there yet for you to really outsource real business tasks to the browser. There are some things that maybe you find in your business that it can do really well and that will save you time. In that case, then go ahead, do some testing and find those. But again, really, I think we're falling short of real use cases for this agent mode. And you can still use this new AI browser for the things that I've told you before. So having, the tab on the side always here to be able to ask questions, to be able to not interrupt your workflow and ask things and have all of this context. When it comes to actually doing things for you, it's not going to be great for now. So I think we'll still have to wait to really put this in place. But if you want to see other AI things that you can implement in your business today that will actually save you time and actually work, then go ahead and watch this next video right here. Or if you just want to keep updated with new AI automations, new AI tools that you can use in your business, then go ahead and subscribe to my free newsletter. That's going to be in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.